What up, everyone? DJ Anubis
And DJ Neko.
back with the Metal Time Radio podcast, doing another movie review. Big welcome for Neko back in the house. And we're trying something a little different here because usually she's kind of like right here and she's like a Smurf.
Me, so he wants me to be far, far away.
No, I locked her in a dungeon. It's darker over there. So until we get the lighting part fixed out. Although she likes it. So maybe she'll just be Miss Mysterious over in the corner there.
I don't know. It's fine. We're trying out. We're doing a 2-camera setup kind of thing. Who knows? We're getting more technical. We're buying more computer crap and fooling around with more computer crap left and right.
We're determined. We're determined to be somebody.
I mean, we'll see what happens. Anyway. We just watched, what's it called? After Blue?
After Blue, directed by Bertrand Mandico. Cast consists of Alina Lowenthal, Paula Luna, and Vimala Pons.
It is a French film.
Plot is a chimeric future on After Blue, a planet from another galaxy, a virgin planet where only women can survive in the midst of harmless flora and fauna. The story is of a punitive expedition. Excuse me. Had some beer now. Not been a while. So I told Neko, because I had already watched this a couple times.
A couple of times? You watched it more than once?
A couple of times. Then I bought the Blu-ray. And so I really wanted to review it, but at the same time, I wanted to get Neko's opinion. I knew that it was either going to go one way or the other way. And she did not disappoint. But I had to give her credit. We talked about it, and I told her that this will be a subtitle film. Unfortunately, the Blu-ray doesn't come with any English dub, so it doesn't save you that.
I watched it.
But it works kind of slowly. It doesn't go too fast, so you can kind of follow what's going on.
Well, we're used to watching subtitles anyway, especially with all the kung fu.
Right.
But I watched it. Like, I didn't...
Yeah, she was paying attention.
I put my phone away. I watched it.
Which is funny because her watching that, like, I'm like, I think she's digging this. Yeah, it's cool. Little did I know.
I was just trying to make him happy. We haven't seen each other in 3.5 months, and we wanted to spend time together. And
well, we're going to be doing this review. We're going to be doing one for Primal Rage. We'll be going to see Evil Dead Rises tomorrow. We'll be doing one for that. Then we saw another movie just out of the cuff, The Snowman, with
that
Michael
was from
Fassbender.
2017, and he and I had not even heard of it.
Had a pretty strong cast, so that turned out pretty interesting. So we'll be giving a review of that, and then probably either next week or a week after we'll be doing Knock at the Cabin and Megan, which is both on Peacock right now. So
and then eventually Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, that too.
Dying to see Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, well, Len says it's not so good, but if we have to butcher it, we'll have to butcher it.
How can you mess up a movie about a cocaine bear?
Well, look, I like Elizabeth Banks as an actress, but as a director, not so much. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, this movie, After Blue, is very interesting for me. Now, I'm one that really likes strange and crazy movies. Maybe not totally as crazy as Jason Stephan does, because some of the stuff that he likes is a bit much for me, but...
What was that one you were watching? The Strange Color of Your Tears? I'm like...
The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears.
Yeah,
See, I really love that. Gallo. But anyway, which I probably should do a review of that down the road, but...
I'll review that too. 0.
So the cool thing about this film for me is it's very psychedelic. It has some aesthetic visuals. Soundtrack is amazing for me. I actually really love the soundtrack. And
that's the one redeeming quality about this is the soundtrack is not bad.
And you figured something out while watching it that I didn't even know about, the classical pieces.
Oh, there was a few classical pieces in there that are and I failed to look up the name of them, but most of the soundtrack was done by one person, except for there was like 2 classical pieces. And what made me actually, this is so silly. One of my favorite movies is Flashdance, and there's a scene where Alex is actually watching the ballet, and that song is what she's watched. So I'm like, that's an actual classical piece that just kind of got thrown in there. But it's like all the soundtrack is kind of has an ambiance. It's kind of weaved in with like whatever they're doing. And what was another thing that was interesting, as DJ Anubis was saying, with the visuals, it was filmed in 35 millimeter. There was no digital, and all of the filters or whatever they did like on screen. They didn't do any after effects. They did it old school, kind of like, you know, they didn't do a lot of after processing. And I mean, that's the only good thing I can say about this movie, honestly.
Well, I thought that, and I'll ask you here in a minute, Vamala Pond, who plays Veronica Sternberg, I thought she stood out in the film. I really liked her role. She was a pretty cool character to watch. Did you like any of the acting at all? Or
no, I thought they were all terrible actors.
Now, another fun thing about this, and again, I think there's really no relation to Kate Bush, other than the fact that her name is the name of the villainess in this. And it should be noted, though, that we discussed how males can't live on this planet because whatever hair growth happens on the inside of their bodies. So they either choke to death or die outright, whereas the women have to constantly kind of shave themselves because the hair grows on the outside like a man. I guess that was a side effect of this planet. But the other thing about Kate Bush, no pun intended,
and
of course.
And they keep saying Kate Bush, Kate Bush, Kate Bush.
And it's like Katarina Bushowski or something was her full name or something. But she was like a vigilante killer who apparently has an eyeball in her vagina.
That's her third eye. She opened her third eye.
But we have our main character, Roxy, who's a young girl who releases Kate Bush from her sand prison on the beach. And thus Kate Bush goes on this rampage of killing a couple of her friends and then is creating chaos throughout the land, which pisses off the little village of the women in the black robes, as we call them. They look like witches from the Covenant, American Horror Story Covenant or something. But
Roxy looks like, I don't know what.
She looks like a punk.
She looks very androgynous. She has a really bad mullet. And never wants to wear pants for some reason. Like half the time she's walking around without pants.
One thing that Mandico did in this film was there's a lot of sexual, I wouldn't say tension, but just sexual stuff going on. So obviously without men, you have a lot of women marrying women and being with women.
But see, they don't like show it overtly.
Right.
But everything that
I think it was trying to do it the artistic way.
It wasn't even artistic. It was, it was, you can tell it was trying too hard. That's exactly what this whole movie was trying to.
Yeah, well, the movie was intended, it's basically a feminist movie, right? So it's coming from an angle. You were reading the little booklet I gave you about how the director said he wanted to be like this utopia where it wasn't run by men but women.
And then you heard when Roxy was giving her like little speech at the beginning. First of all, no idea who she's talking to, and then we never resolve it at the end. So she starts off.
Yeah, you never know if it's like her subconscious or whatever.
She's talking to nobody. And one thing that they did say was, we came here and we're gonna be different. There's no machines. There's no screens. That's another thing. This is like a very French woke movie, or an unwoke movie. It's a very. You can just tell they're just trying too hard. Everything that this director, it's like he's forcing something to happen. Every scene, something is being forced. An artistic direction, cool music, lesbian scenes, feminism. I'm like, they said no machines, but yet everybody's got a gun named after a different designer.
Yeah.
You got a Gucci
Louis
gun,
Vuitton.
a Louis Vuitton, a Chanel gun.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were actually going back to bare bones, so to speak, except for the horses, and it's sort
There
of
were
like
only allowed a few horses too.
the director said he wanted us had like a feel of like a western, which I kind of got. She didn't really see it, but I saw what he was trying to do. But yeah, she's right in some ways. Look, I'll get to it more when we get to the end of the review, but for me personally, I don't give a shit about the plot in this movie. I really don't. Like, it's probably the most
And why do you
uninteresting
even bother watching a movie if you don't care about the plot?
because it's everything else in it. The visuals, the soundtrack.
See, I'm not like that with movies.
It depends for me. I did not go in this movie expecting to like it. I did not. But it turns out I really do like the other things he's doing with it. But the plot and the story is a mess. It's a really big mess. There's no character development. As you said, it kind of jumps around from one thing to the next.
There's no like character personality, not even character development.
Well, I don't know. I thought that
the same.
I thought Zora, like, it's kind of funny because as the story focuses on Roxy, her mother Zora, I think, is the one that is having this building going on. Like, her character keeps being challenged, and she, you see growth in her. You don't see growth in anyone else, but you see it in her.
The only growth that Zora did was become an alcoholic.
Well, they were all that already, I think. Which is funny because when you talk about, like, if from a feminist point of view, if they were trying to be anti-male, like, nothing has changed in terms of humanity. You still have Kate Bush, who's killing other women because she doesn't like the rules.
And in order to procreate, they have sperm that they saved from
Earth
that they inseminate themselves with.
Right.
But then there's this like random android that, even though there's no machines allowed, but the one chick that you like, she's rich and she's an artist, and so she's allowed to have an android, and she lives at the top of the mountain, whatever that means. So she's far away from everybody.
Basically, the male fembot.
And he's got like tentacles.
Yeah, it's strange,
like an
man.
octocock. Like octocock.
Perfect example explanation.
I don't know.
Octocock.
Octocock.
That's a great superhero name.
There was like 8 dicks coming out of him, and then the Roxy, she's getting turned on by Kate Bush, and she's getting turned on by the android. She's always masturbating. She's shoving her gun down her pants. She's running around with her underwear. Like, I'm like, seriously, keep it in your pants, girl. Chill out.
Now, I just thought of something before we did this earlier about the feminist point of view, right? So the hair, could that be some ways, even though they were spending a lot of time shaving, could that be in some ways like them saying, we don't want to shave?
Well, they were protesting shaving because
Kate Bush was on the loose.
Kate Bush was on the loose.
And Zora, the mother, Roxy, was a hairdresser.
So they were forcing her out of the colony, which is what, this is what you do. Humanity has not changed on this new planet.
Nope.
This is what you do. So they were like, you can either be bankrupt and out on the street and alone because we're not going to get our hair, our necks shaved or our arms shaved. And apparently there's only one razor in the entire community, and Zora has it. And it's not even like a razor. It's like a mini lightsaber. It's like a blue lightsaber. And she's like,
I don't know if it was like the only one in existence, but it almost made it sound like she was the only one that could perform the task.
Without hurting.
Right, killing somebody.
Because remember when she was shaving
Kate Bush.
Not Kate Bush, the other one.
Oh, Sternberg.
Sternberg. And she said something like, don't slit my throat or whatever. Yeah. So it's probably something along like
risque.
It's very difficult to do. Everything is over the top. There's no like nuance in anything. I think he tried to be nuance, but nothing has nuance. And part of it could be because I don't speak French. I only know very, very, very few words in French, and most of them are ballet terms. So my conversational French is, bonjour. I I know sometimes when you're speaking, sarcasm is really difficult to pick up if you don't know the language. And I don't know the language, and I'm reading the captions. So maybe I'm not getting something because it's not my native language.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting the jokes or the nuance, and that's quite possible. Maybe if I spoke French, the movie would.
Well, you said, like, when I said I wasn't picking up on much of the feminism, like, even though the movie was designed that way, it's not really preachy, but you were saying that because we're reading subtitles, it may not be coming across the way that it's meant to be.
Yeah, they
There's Veronica Sternberg, and just to say, my favorite scene from this is when her, Zora, and Kiefer and Climax are on their horseback going after Kate.
Who the fuck are Kiefer and Climax? They just
the two with the
I know who they are. They just showed up.
They're artistes.
I guess.
Remember that's what they were saying.
Artists live on the top of the mountain. I'm guessing.
Well, it was like there are only 3 of them, I think.
And they're rich.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. And apparently.
And there's some kind of monetary compensation that everybody has that looks like a giant
medallion.
Saucer medallion,
yeah.
Right? But the entire weird planet uses that as trade or currency. There is so much wrong with this movie.
Well, here's the one thing I will say about this film. Like I said, the story's a mess. There's no character development, but I don't really think that was the director's objective, in my opinion. Like, this is kind of like one of those films, and I know you're going to agree with me that it's great if you're on hallucinogens. Like, if you're doing acid.
I've been on hallucinogens, so I can't confirm nor deny.
Well, I have, and I would say.
I'm jealous. I want to be on hallucinogens.
You probably would have enjoyed it more that way, but for those that do indulge in that stuff, like, this is the kind of film you'd want to watch. Like, it's up there in terms of just craziness and weird visuals.
I don't know, because I can really enjoy The Wizard of Oz without being on LSD.
Well,
and that movie is meant for LSD.
Yeah, but that's not even, like, I don't know, I'm not going there with that one.
What do you mean you're not going there with that one?
If I'm going to watch a movie that's crazy and great for visual, it's going to be more of this than that. I might laugh at The Wizard of Oz more than I will oh, wow, check that out, man. Yeah, monkeys, yeah.
It was a big deal.
It was then, yeah, sure.
I mean, they went
the hanging midget.
They went all out on those special effects, and you have to think this is like the 40s, right? Margaret Hamilton, is that what the witch's name was?
I don't remember.
She set herself on fire.
Well, she didn't try to.
No, it was just because.
Yeah, we have everything from that to the guy who played the Tin Man with the.
It had real silver.
Lead or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he got, I don't know if it was lead poisoning or something in his makeup. So you have to. I mean, this is a long time ago.
Covered under insurance.
Yeah, everything had to be practical effects too. They had to make those monkeys fly. They had to make the Wicked Witch's broom fly. They had to figure it out. Where now we got a fucking green screen and you can just do whatever.
Yeah.
But my point though is the Wizard of Oz was a book at first, and it was multiple books. And there's a lot of plot and character development. This movie has no plot. The characters are
it attempts a plot. It just doesn't come across very well, but I still love it. And so we're going to give our ratings.
Because he's watched it multiple times.
She's going to hate me so much for this. My rating is 10 out of 10 for this film.
So now this lets me know that I can't trust anything that he says about movies going forward, because
she's going to say that now, but now here's the trick. Now I announced some of the stuff we're doing review wise, right? One thing I've got coming up is I've got my top 50 all-time great movies list from this century.
Oh, is that the one that I sent you from
No, I found the article on my own, but the article I disagreed with.
I sent you an article, and I said maybe we should go through and watch all of these and
Well, we're not doing that. I just made my own list. But I will say this. There's a movie she really loves that's in my top 5.
Oh, wow.
So I'll just say this. When we get around to doing that, she's going to change her tune entirely. She thinks she may be right about some of the stuff in terms of like the crazier shit that I watch, because I know there's films I really love that she hates. But all in all, there's movies that we really love together. There really is. This just doesn't happen to be one of them. So what would you rate it?
This
Like
was
fairly.
This is if Mad Max and Suspiria had like a bastard child, and we all had to watch it slowly die. 2 out of 10.
Okay.
That's exactly what it's awful.
Now watch what she does for Primal Rage.
But here's the thing.
I know it's meant to be bad.
This tried too hard. And they always say, "Oh, you get an A for effort." No. This movie is pretentious and it sucks. And there's plenty of apocalyptic movies, hence Mad Max, and so that's why I'm saying, like, if you're gonna do something like this and try to make it a Western and try to make it sci-fi and make it feminist and pick something, stick with it. It's all over the place. The soundtrack's good.
Soundtrack's excellent.
Mm-hmm. All right, maybe I'll jump it up to a 3 because because I did appreciate his artistic efforts in reading like his take, but
it should be noted, like, now there's, like I told Neko the other night, there's like a 40-minute movie that I think is a prequel to this.
I'm never gonna watch it ever.
Well, I watched it and it wasn't even worth it because you don't get this, like, you see the similarities with the visual stuff. The soundtrack doesn't work for it, and it's way more worse plot-wise than you got in this. So yeah, so just for those that are, it's also on Shudder, so you can check it out there as well if you have that service. But
I mean, honestly, you can like have a pile of poop, but if you put a nice soundtrack, it doesn't make it a better movie. It's still watching a video of a pile of poop, regardless of what kind of music you have going on in the background.
A steaming pile of poop.
It was a steaming pile of poop.
With great music.
I mean, I'm trying to think of some really influential movies that had amazing soundtracks.
Well, I'm just going to say, like, you remember when Stefan was showing us stuff like Eraserhead or Naked Lunch? Well, I hated
like, Naked Lunch. It's
got that kind of weird thing going on. Like, it's trying all these different things. And
there, I'm a disgusting person. I love gross things. You know this. I probably should have been some kind of like triage doctor. I don't get very fazed by things. I don't like cockroaches. And there's a lot of cockroaches in Naked Lunch, and I couldn't, like...
There's a lot of octocock in there.
I was getting, like, physically ill watching it. I'm like, you guys have fun, I'm not watching it. Like, I couldn't.
All right, well, that's our review for After Blue.
It sucked.
Definitely hot and cold here between the both of us, but thank you all for checking us out, and we will see you next time here on the Meltdown Radio Podcast.